There we go.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You got it inside.
I hate doing it. I always forget.
If you layer that up now, it'll sound like we have fans. Like,
how you boys doing anyway?
Yeah, good man. How about you?
Yeah, good.
We're doing fine. Yeah. So what's going on then with Pariah then? So obviously with COVID going on, it's obviously gonna affect a lot of things.
Yeah, well, we're luckily we're recording our new EP.
Yeah.
At the moment, so it did spring up at a good time, really, because we haven't had our gig plan set out. We hadn't had anything. We were just like, right, we're gonna do this EP. We're gonna kind of play what shows we can within that time. But then, other than that, we were just like, right, let's just bash this out, get it done, and get it done proper. So we're halfway through that. We've finished drum tracking. We've finished my rhythms, and we're just and all we got to do now is
my parts and
Luke's rhythms, Diggle's rhythms, Diggle's bass, my leads and his leads, and then vocals. We're not, we're not halfway there, but we are on the way with it. We've got a full plan with it. So
it's taken like a completely different approach to recording it this time, because like before it was very, I don't know how you.
It was quite intense when we first did it.
Yeah.
Because it was, we were in a studio, it was like, right, you got a day.
Yeah.
Day or 2 days to do this track.
Like when you're on a time limit, it can be a bit.
Yeah, you always like, we always fumble a bit when you're like, right, I've got an hour to do this now. With this case, we've not just got an hour. We've got like, if it takes a full day, it takes a full day.
Yeah.
And we're fine with that. Like, we just want, because we're recording round the corner from this house, so it's not long. Like, to get it's about 5 minutes walk. So every time Tom's like, we need more guitar tracks, I'll walk around with my guitar, do that, like, to basically piece it together slowly to then make sure we've got the final product we want. Really,
I want to make sure it's like polished and like it's going to have a completely different sound in the sense that it's going to become like a lot more raw than what we did before, which hopefully will like sound a lot better and people will enjoy it, because like
yeah. Is there a release date on it, or is it still to be confirmed?
We're hoping for January, but we'll have to do a month of promos and all that. So once it's finished recorded, knowing us, we will end up sitting with it for a month, just listening to it and listening to it again, and then constantly just repeating that until we find like one little problem with it that we don't like. Then we'll fully go redo that bit, because obviously we'll have all the stems. So we'll redo that bit, and we'll just keep on doing that after listening to God knows how many times. So basically, by the time it comes to us playing it live, we're gonna fucking despise it.
Yeah,
absolutely despise it. We're expecting that. We've already been like, the songs we're doing. One of them's one of the oldest ones on the EP, and I think it's been there since every other band member.
Oh, dude, every time you play it, is it this one again?
Yeah, it's been there since I started. Well, it's before any other members joined. It was close proximity to it, but I remember jamming it for. It was like one of the first 2 songs we had.
Old school. It's always been like a good reserve as well. Like if there's ever a time where like we've got this habit of whenever we play shows that we'll play it just too quick. So we need like an extra 5 or 6 minutes on the set, so we'll just bang one of them out. Yeah.
So yeah. But the other stuff is really different, because we're not really a thrash band anymore.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because I was listening to you guys' EP earlier, and it's definitely like thrash, a bit of like death metal influences as well in the vocals. So like, what will people expect from this album then?
It's softer. That's all I'm saying. It's way softer. It's way more. But the thing is, it's way more in touch from what we actually like. So a few times when we did the original EP, when we did the first single, it was really like, this is how bands should sound. Though it wasn't. This is what I want to play. This is how bands should sound in this scene. So we just kind of like, in a way, just copy and pasted everyone else's shit. So we were like, this time we're like, no, because it was just after the change of drummers, and we're like, no, we're gonna fully change it. We're gonna do it exactly how we want it.
Yeah, it's a big like learning curve, isn't it? You know?
You're always gonna have the learning curve when you get going. So that's what we're going through now. So I think we've hit what we want to hit now with the change of style, and this isn't the full change of style either. This is like the curve that goes out to it. So expect more off the EP after than you'll get from the this EP, as in more going in the direction we're going.
Yeah, right. So in terms of writing, how do you approach writing? Do you come up with vocals first? Do you come up with guitars first? Or is it just kind of a mix mash sort of thing?
Vocals are the last thing I think about. Usually what happens is either me or Luke have a riff, and we'll just start off that, and then he'll send it to me or I'll send it to him, and then we'll play with it, and we'll probably play with it for about half a year, something like that. Sometimes like some of them we just keep feeding back, and then one day we'll forget about it. Then we'll be at a practice, and then Luke will play it, and I'll go, that's different to how I taught it. But then it works way better. So what we usually do is guitar, like we do mostly guitar. We'll also do we'll have ideas. So we'll have like a riff, and then like intro, like the intro riff, and then we'll go into the verse and stuff. But then we won't really have much more. We'll have ideas for choruses. Bring it into a room, and then me and Luke just end up feeding off each other and diggling inputs. He's like, right, no, change that, or add that note in there, and then we end up just making this massive, it goes from like this one thing within an hour. It's this massive pattern of just stuff and it takes us, once we've done that, we don't always have the biggest structure ever.
Yeah. So
we'll then the next day, or we'll video call, or we'll meet up, and we'll be like, no, that can change, and we'll then just sit down and go, no, we'll separate that into that, and then we'll make it out into one big track instead of just a few riffs together.
It's never really like one person will write like a full song and like drum tracks, bass, guitar, everything. It's never really like that. And even if we do, it'll be like a mix mash of everything. Like there's been times where we'll both write a full song each, and then there's bits where we'll be like, don't work there, you know what I mean? It's just like a teamwork thing, you know what I mean? So
but I think even when we write, like one person writes a full song, they'll then give it to us, and by the time we're done with it, it's never the same. There's always added bits, and it was off the EP. It was Foxpiss. Luke came up with a riff, and then he came up with the verse riff as well. But then he was like, I don't know what to do after that, really. And he was like, but I've got an idea. So he played us this full idea, and it was basically a full song. And then I went to it and I changed some in. Then Dig got his hands on it, changed some in, and then Luke ended up thinking, no, that's better now if we change it to that, like change his own riff to that, and then it just ends up, as I said, just feeds out into way more than we expect it to be. It's
like sometimes you'll be in the practice room, you'll all be playing together, and the creative juices might not just be flowing, whereas sometimes they just do, and times like that it just worked. Like we were in the practice room for 4 hours, a usual session, and then you can bash out a full song that'll just be almost perfect in an hour. Yeah. Sometimes you got to work on it for ages, and it won't work, and there's so much stuff you got to change. But I mean, I think it's probably fate sometimes when some of them work. And
in lockdown, I ended up changing it completely though, because me and Tom use like DAWs, so we'll be working with them. But then Luke got big that oven. So he'd send me a video recording, and it'd just be him playing it. It'd be a video recording of him playing to me, and I'd have to sit there on my phone, just like on my guitar, just like, he's like, how do you do that? He can't play in right now because he can't go on his mind because he's going to give him diseases. I'm not having his diseases off me, so I've got to do it. So I have to learn it just from how he's playing it, and we had a few calls about it, but then I'd then play it into the system, and I'd send it to Tom because he'd do all the drum tracks to do that. And my MIDI drums are the worst things on this earth. But Tom's are sick, but mine are horrible. So I'll do like a rough idea of what I want. Then he'll make it good. But then me and Tom would be constantly sending each other tracks. Like I'd send him something, then he'd make a drum track for it, then he'd send me it back. Then we'd just be constantly doing that. I think for about a month in lockdown, me and him were doing that every day, about 4 hours. 4 hours a day we'd be doing that, like every day.
Jesus.
So and that's the stuff after the EP as well. So like we're planning for the singles after as well, because obviously we couldn't record, so it was like, right, we might as well write for it. We've now got a back catalogue of about like 5 songs that we're playing with right now for the after, but then we're gonna release some singles instead of like obviously like full EPs instead. So,
yeah. Sounds like you've been working in lockdown.
No, I've obviously
Well, I say a month. I think lockdown's been like 4 proper months of it. Like,
yeah, I'd say about 4 or 5 months. Yeah.
It feels like forever though. Like, it's almost like I was in fucking Groundhog Day. It's like wake up.
Every day is the same.
Yeah, fucking day.
I don't think I've seen the inside of a club ever before. No.
I can't remember what life was like before lockdown.
Yeah, I remember the first time after, like, when they allowed pubs, I went with like a few mates. I was just sat there like, this feels fucking weird.
Feels like you're 18 again.
This feels fucking weird.
You go, but it just doesn't feel normal. You're like, no, I should be rat-ass talking to some random guy in a beer garden about how sick his life is, because he should do it his way and he should not listen to people. Well, no, I've got to sit here on one table.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like worm, mate. 2 meters apart
with some fucking screens next to you and shit. It's just been. I found myself in lockdown because at my work I got put on furlough, so I had literally fucking nothing to do. I was picking up like stupid hobbies, and like I fucking tried relearning skateboarding. That's fallen through. I'm not fucking playing. One thing I have stuck at is trying to learn guitar, but I'm fucking shit. It's unreal. I picked up I had band practice on Monday, and I picked up our bassist bass. I was like, I'm actually pretty alright at bass. But I was fucking with guitar, I just can't do it. I was like, my fingers are like long fingers, so I can't fucking do it.
Yeah, well, I think what it was, because I remember at first in lockdown, I wasn't doing shit. I wasn't even playing guitar. I was just in a massive mood. Because I was like, I'm so badly done to. Oh, life is shit. But I wasn't doing anything about it. And I remember like a month in, I was like, I'm being a twat. I need to properly do my shit again. Because I'd still be playing guitar in that time, but I wouldn't be like playing guitar. I wouldn't be doing it for like 6 hours on end like I usually did. So I was like, right, I've got to do it. I've got to then. So I ended up like for about 2 months of it before I moved back to Leeds, I was doing 4 or 5 hours of guitar a day, and the benefits were amazing, because I remember that's how I learned initially. But then I kind of lost it a bit when I was writing. I wasn't proper practicing while I was like writing, because obviously I wasn't just doing. I used to just do scales, and I used to do like metronomes going 24/7 and all of that. I'd probably go to sleep, and all I'd hear in my head is me.
Dreaming about it.
Yeah, but then I started doing that again in lockdown, so that was all right. But then, so I've kind of kept it up now though, so it's all right. But other than that, I've been kind of a reprobate. I've just been like I was just sitting in the house, not really doing anything. I was like, I might go for a walk today, and the walk is just going to co-op down the road.
Yeah, same here, to be fair. Yeah, I've got to my local co-op is the biggest amount of exercise I'll do in the day. I think it's so easy though, isn't it, to just like fall into a slump a bit, because you're like, oh fuck it, well nothing's happening, I might as well just do nothing as well.
I think I genuinely have watched everything on Netflix and Amazon. I was like, I'm going through my Netflix the other day, not seeing that.
Soon.
That.
Have we seen that thing? A League of Gentlemen is like clean. Oh, how many killings? clean. Yeah. So that was me in lockdown. I remember Tiger King came out. Well, Tiger came out just before lockdown. I remember the first week of lockdown, I was like, do you know what? Tiger King. I love hillbillies.
Yeah, they couldn't have planned that any better.
Yeah, literally.
My life got absorbed by Tiger King for.
Yeah, I love it. Joey Exotic, as much as he's a twat, evidently. Everyone in that is just the biggest knobhead ever, but you end up loving him.
Bunch of fucking hillbillies with like exotic animals, like
literally.
You know what I mean?
It's like every episode they throw something new in though. You'd be watching it, all right. This guy runs a fucking tiger zoo. Like, what the fuck? What's more is there? Oh, well, this other lass is starting bare shit with him. Like, and then
yeah. Fuck Carol Baskin, mate. Yeah, I'm not having that. Have you seen that thing? She did it.
Meth, and you're like, it's like fucking meth now.
That's what became more hated than lockdown.
I'm not even.
I think they just planned it really well. It's like, right, they can't hate everyone. We'll make her hate Carol Baskin. We'll have that. On you go. Well, to be fair, like I saw a video of Carl Baskin. It went on Facebook like a few weeks ago, and it was there saying hi to Rolf Harris, and saying, "Oh, I've heard lots of stories about you and your mate Jimmy Savile."
Oh yeah.
And she said Savile, which stressed me, but she was like, "Oh, you and your mate. I've heard some right stories about you and your mate Jimmy Savile. I can't wait to hear those." And I was like, "Oh no, oh your career is done, love." Oh dear.
Have you seen the Facebook page for Big Cat Rescue now?
Yeah.
It's gone from like a couple of months ago being like, well done, you're doing a great job, to like, you look at it, you're like, you fucking killed your husband, you bitch.
Right, we've got to be honest. She killed her husband. That was the fact. Like,
think about it, if you were that FBI investigator and you're like, how many tigers you got? Oh, I got about like 100. You're like, right, and your husband's gone missing. And she's like, yeah. Right. Have you got any like tiger shit we can have a look at? You know what I mean?
I think it's in the remains. I think in Snatch. Have you seen Snatch?
Oh yeah.
It's like feed him to the pigs. He's like, she needs to feed him to the tiger. She's taking it to the next level. Like,
America.
I remember watching it. My mum came in. She's like, "What the fuck's this?" And within like 10 minutes, me and her like binge watched the entire thing. It's fucking crazy.
I kept on going to my dad, and I was like, "Dad, you have to watch this." Swear down. And he kept on going, "No, I don't think I'll be into it." I went, "Dad, all it is hillbillies that collect tigers and do meth. It's the best thing ever." And he's just like, "That just sounds so you." And I was like.
It's fucking. I loved it, mate. I loved it. I was like, whoever gave Joe Exotic a gun though is a fucking nutcase. I was like, imagine this bloke coming up with a fucking cane and fucking dressed like a nutcase. As a fucking tiger zoo, and you go, yeah, I'll give him a revolver.
Yeah,
that's a fucking fair idea.
he had a rate collection, didn't he? And he kept on doing those videos of like him just shooting at like a target thing. He called it Carol Baskin. Yeah. He's like, this is what happens when anyone comes to my phone. He's like, fuck off.
It's like C4 and shit like that. Yeah, like explosives.
Let's go use them for.
I wouldn't to be honest, I wouldn't trust him with a fucking TV remote, let alone a handgun. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't be like, can you?
I mean, even the tigers are stretching it.
I know. Then again, that's probably what the bloke thought. Like, well, he's got fucking tigers, so he can do.
I think he's one of those guys that when they turn to the pub with the mate, he's like, oh no, Joe's here. Oh, yeah.
He's like that crazy guy that's like outside of a pub trying to sell you Avon. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, you want to bash some of his face cream that he's clearly fucking nicked, and you're like, oh, please just don't talk to me.
Wolf whistling every person that walks past.
Yeah,
like.
Oh, fucking love that. I love that show.
It was great.
So, like, obviously, you boys are from York, aren't you?
Yeah.
What I want to know is, what's the scene like in York then? What's it like?
So music wise, as a music scene itself, it's really good. But as a metal scene, there's not many of us really. There's about four or five bands. But
reiterate, the music scene was good. Now
we lost Fibbers, and we used to work there. So we were I was sound engineer, he was the rep, and he was a bartender as well. We were we spoke of Fibbers, and we had the best shows ever there because we obviously we used to know.
But like we came like late to it, you know what I mean? It was like it was sick when it was like first mid, and then it was like it's kind of like whereas now it's just like
it was good.
Really
we saw you guys. We saw you guys at Fibbers with Ingested.
Yeah.
We went out drinking with some of you, I think, but I don't know. You guys were pretty fucked. I think it was you, Alex. Yeah, but
yeah. Did you go to the after party?
Yeah, went to Pop World with the revolving dance. The only time they'd ever played metal music in Pop World, it was like.
Well, it's like metal in Pop World. What the fuck? Yeah. The things where I turned up for Britney Spears, mate. I was like, because you.
Oh, mate, minute we came in, they played Metallica from the bell calls.
Oh, mate!
I'm not even kidding. We came in.
We did it. So basically, after that night, 'cause we were in the after party, and they kicked everyone out. But since we worked there, they were just like they had a staff one. There was a staff one. So all the Pariah stayed to that. But then I bet, Brandon, you met Clapham there, or you were with Clapham there, the big ginger bearded guy that's at the front of every single one of our shows.
Yeah. Is he the big guy?
The big fucker, he's basically he's like the biggest teddy ever. Everyone loves him.
Yeah, he's close.
But in a show, I would rather not be next to him in the pit.
No, he's
in like random places. Like I was in Corp in Sheffield, and he was just a piss. All right, I was like, hello. He's just there.
I was there that night.
Oh, I probably was up there. To be honest.
Yeah,
it was the time when you played Sheffield's, and it was that little contest thing because our mates in Godeth were there as well.
That's Well, we still keep in contact with Godeth now. Weirdly, so we were talking for a bit, and obviously we met in Sheffield, and we were playing the same show. So it was just like we just had chats. So then we ended up adding each other on Facebook. But then what ended up happening was like we all went to Key Club, and me and Diggle, our bass player, turned up quite a lot, a bit pissed, and we'd bump into the Godeth guys, a bit pissed. So we'd all have a chat every time there about how we're gonna work together all the time. We're gonna do all this, and then now I'm gonna say there is proper talks about we are going to work together, and we're doing a song together. So it's being written right now. So we're having. As well. Yeah, it's not just for Goddess. So our new idea is, I put it one way, is the rap scene does it so. Everyone features everyone because they know that they want to play with that guy. They go, I want to play with that guy. I want to play with that guy. So they do that so much that it shows that there is a scene together. There is a personal level scene as well. So that's what we want. We want singles with that band. Oh, with that band that we're friends with, or with that band we're friends with. And it basically shows that everyone is working together. Everyone's doing it. Everyone's glued together, because I think a lot of bands miss out on the fact that you need to work together to get anywhere. You can't just be in your own go, we're gonna be the best band ever. It's like you're not if you're not friends with anyone.
No, I really agree. I think like with like the metal scene, like you said about rap, like they do features and they help each other out, and I feel like there's a lot of sense of pride with a lot of metal bands. Like they don't want to feature anybody, they just want to compete and get to the top. But like you said, they need to work together and get to the top.
And some of them don't care who they knock down to get to the top. It's like, but you do know when you fall, because everyone falls eventually. Mm-hmm. Even the great, so Motley Crue, right, the biggest band of the '80s, turned up. When Vince Neil left, they fell like fuck.
Oh yeah.
But the fact was that they had friends. They were still friends. They were still doing it. So I think all these bands that are so determined to get to the top don't care who they fuck over just to do it. As soon as they fall, they've got no one. They're never getting back up because they've lost it all now. But if you're that band that will help everyone, you'll do everything for everyone. Like whenever we knew there's a metal show in York, especially from one of the locals, even if we didn't know the band, we'd turn up. We'd always turn up just to show our faces.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just to chat with them, just to be like, oh yeah, it's cool. And then we'd always have a chat with them anyway, because I used to, when I was engineering, I worked for them anyway. So when we had metal shows, so when we were together, he was like, oh, I know you from this. And I was like, well, I'm Pariah as well. Listen to my band. And they were like, oh, we know you. I like you know, because when you're in the York scene, we ended up just listening to each other too much. So we're just like, pick up these boys these boys got it. Like, so it should be. Everyone should pick up everyone else. You shouldn't pick up your own band. Everyone, you should do promotion, you know, the professional promotion, but everyone should pick up everyone else's.
A little bit of shameless self-promotion here and there, you know.
Cheeky self-promotion, but other than that, you should be picking up everyone else's. Like,
yeah, I think that's so important, because like, you even notice when you go to certain gigs, like, so because I haven't been in a band long, we haven't even got all out yet, but like, I find sometimes you talk to people like, oh, we're working on something like this. And the minute you say work, some people get almost defensive, and they're like, "Well, my man's working on this," and they're like, "Try to one up you," and you're like,
well, actually, I've got an album out. Actually, you've got a single, you know. You've got a single. I've got an album, mate. I'm hard. So well done.
You'll find people do shit like that. It was like, "Oh, yeah, we're working on an IP." Like, well, we've already got 2 APs out. You know what I mean?
Well done, bro. Well done. You've done what every band's ever done. Well done, right?
Well, Corey Taylor's retweeted us on Twitter, so
yeah, what's that?
Man, we're so famous, man. Do you know what, Jones? Right. Belfagor liked one of my posts on Facebook. Therefore,
fanboy.
We are now famous. That's facts. Everyone goes to Belfagor and go, "What have they liked?"
You know.
Like, legit, I feel like it's really deep in local scenes as well. Like, I notice a lot of local bands, because they're all in that fucking space of like, I don't want to be a local band anymore, and they're trying to break out. The minute they get a chance, like, fuck someone else off or like push them down, they're like, I'm pushing them down. But like, what ends up happening is you just look like a dick. And like, eventually, like, no one wants to work with you.
I think in the metal scene, when everyone, the whole idea of a metal scene originally was obviously right. So say in the hypothetical situation that British heavy metal was the first like metal scene. You had bands like Saxon, Motorhead, you had Maiden, and they were all literally playing with each other constantly. And they were all helping each other. Therefore, they've made this scene now. And that's why it was a scene. It was because they made it. They didn't make it as a. They weren't like, there's already a scene here. I'm gonna just latch on and become this. Going to same with the thrash scene, especially the American thrash scene. You had Megadeth, Anthrax, Metallica. You had Slayer. You had fucking Overkill. You had everyone. They were all playing together. They were best friends. The first ever gig we booked as Northern Extremities, we were handed it down by one of our friends.
Yeah, we're very lucky together.
We were so lucky together because he already had all the fucking promotion. He had the contacts, and Connor kept on going to us like, right, you want anything, come to me. I've got it. I've done it. You know what I mean? I've done it all before. So, but then the first gig, it was kind of off the bat, wasn't it? It was Necronautical. Yeah. We booked them. It was on a black metal lot, and I was so because I liked them anyway. So I booked them, and we that was the one time ever we made profit promoting. Right, the first gig we did, but then they were coming back, but they were support this time because they had a way bigger band headlining, and we'd announced it. We'd got ticket sales. And Kirby turned up and we were like, I've got to refund all these people now. That's my big money gone. Oh,
I mean, well, at least you didn't do what Ticketmaster did. Ticketmaster have been bastards.
Ticketmaster are always bastards.
Well, the cheap. Like, so I'm not even kidding. I swear to fuck it. I wish I had proof of this because it's pissed me royally. Fucked me off. I had tickets booked for like 3 gigs this year that I paid through for Ticketmaster, right? And I was like, can I get a refund? I got an email back going, if you check our terms and conditions, we can't offer you a refund at the time, right? Guess what? The fucking must have changed in the terms and conditions, right? That if there's a fucking outbreak, they don't have to refund.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. absolute fucking bastards. Yeah.
Do you know what? Right?
Like fucking almost 100 quid with them that I'm never probably gonna ever see again.
You know what? Ticketmaster's like the Ryanair of tickets.
Yeah, it fucking is.
I'm still with my refunds.
If it was like Ryanair, if it were like the Ryanair tickets, you'd book a gig for it Ingested and end up seeing the Beatles.
Yeah, not gonna lie, right. If I'd bought a ticket for Ingested, no disrespect for Ingested, but then got to see the Beatles, who were not together anymore, not been together for like fucking hundreds of years.
You'd be winning.
I'd be all right. I paid 10 quid for this. It's fine.
I would love to see Ingested again.
Oh, Ingested were great. They were such nice lads as well.
It tore us a new ass.
So nice.
You know
like,
what
yeah.
I mean? Like,
I remember like we had to borrow one of the cabs. No, it was the cabs. No, we brought our own cabs, didn't we?
Yeah.
We brought our own cabs because they had their full setup, and it was like the most professional setup we've ever worked with.
Very professional guys.
Our mate Joel was the engineer, and I basically used to work for him, so he knew us too well, like because he'd already done Lost Society the month before, so we'd already played, and he was there, so he like kind of got our monitor mix and everything spot on and Ingested, but we couldn't fit the vocal mic in front of the drum kit.
Yeah.
Because of how big their drum kit is. Big up, because their drummer uses the kit. He's not one of those drummers that has a million toms, a million cymbals, and then just does one of them once.
Simple beat.
You know what I mean? But this guy
everything.
uses everything. So we were like, that's absolutely fine. So I had to be at the side of the stage. I had to be stage left for that, and you had to be in the middle.
I was in the middle, yeah. It's really
he was in the middle, but he had about
not fun.
a meter, not even half a meter's worth of like space. Him stand to, whenever we tried to move, he was like.
I was like headbanging. I was like close to falling off. I was like, fuck. Like I did like a couple of beds as well, so I was like, shit.
That's a big drop.
Yeah, well, that gig at Fibbers, the sound were incredible.
Yeah, it really
They
was.
really were. Like,
Yeah.
fucking
big up Joel Sutter.
Big up,
big up Joe. That fucking
Yeah.
sound. Probably one some of the best sound engineer that I've actually like. Had
It was an incredible show. Really
Ingested on their own guy, and he was like so fucking knowledgeable. Like I had a quick chat with him, and it was only like a 10-minute, just like just what are you doing kind of thing. But we were just talking about the sound itself, and turns out he just went through and he went, oh, you've got this rig, haven't you? And I was like, how do you know this? I work here and I don't even know what we've got. How do you know this? I had a look and I was like, oh, you prick. Oh, you're doing it properly.
He's a seasoned professional.
He's seasoned professional. He was the nicest guy ever. Just so smart. Like, and the band was so nice. Like, we went back and had a chat with him. And we had a cab problem, didn't we, at first? Because we were playing Street Soldier as well.
I had to borrow a
yeah, so at first, like, our amp broke, so Luke's amp broke. And we didn't bring a spare, obviously. So we were like,
I was like, Ollie, please let me borrow it, mate.
So we went to Ollie, and I've known Ollie for a few years, but not known him for, like, you know what I mean? But what happened was Ollie, I was running around trying to find him because I was like, we need to borrow your amp. Please just give us your amp. And I couldn't find him. Then I just saw him at side stage. When I ran back, he was like, what's up? And I was like, Ollie, can we use your amp? And he was like, you didn't even have to ask. Just use it. Just use it. It's fine. And I was like, shit, okay.
End up being sick as well, because
his amp sounded better than his.
I did like one little squeal and it went on for ages. I was like, shit. It was sick.
But like Street Soldier Boys, like they, I went to the same school as Scotty, the vocalist. So we went to the same school. We didn't know each other. Like he's a few years older than me. So I must have started probably year 7 when he was in year 11 or something like that. So you got a good distance between. You got a good 5 years between us. But I remember I just reminisced to him. Like, he just came and sat with us, and the band before us were taking piss out of us, and I was like, it's not very nice.
But you know,
but they're taking the piss because you could read our logo.
Yeah, you know what's funny about them though, right? We don't even remember the band that one before you. We only remember you guys. Street Soldier and Ingested, so fuck them. At least you actually fucking made. Yeah. The thing is, you had to like big up Ingested, which is a hard fucking thing to do, and you did it fucking well.
Yeah, literally.
End of the day, you put on a memorable performance. Like,
yeah,
if they were taking the piss out of you, I find most of the time the motherfuckers that take the piss out of you are the guys that actually are insecure about the music. Because let's face it, if you were doing good and you were doing really fucking good, you wouldn't have to take the piss out of anyone.
Exactly.
You'd know. I've got naught to worry about. I know our stuff's really fucking good. I know our stuff's pretty we can play well on stage and everything like that. Yeah, big up to anyone else that plays with us. When you get down to the fuckers that are like, that band's shit, that band's shit, that band's shit. They're really just thinking, I'm going to just call this band shit just so it makes me better about my shit band.
Yeah. Basically, I was on Scotty and he was just like, well, you guys are sick. And I was like, stop it. Stop it. Oh, stop it. We were chatting about that. And like, I remember hearing about the band and things at first when I was watching, I was like, no, fair game. Like, they're a band. They sounded good. I'm probably not the biggest Slam fan in the world, but I was like, but when it's good Slam, I'm like, that's good Slam. You know what I mean? Like, I know when a genre is good because I listen to like Post Malone, I listen to Lil Peep, I listen to fucking Machine Gun Kelly all the time. And like, yeah, I love MGK.
Me too.
And I listen to it. Things that I genuinely know nothing about that scene in anything. But I listen to it and be like, that's just good music though. Like, that's just good music. That's all I care about. It's like, I don't give a shit what you are, as long as you're just good at what you do. Like, I think personality is the one thing in music that people nowadays don't bring. They think, all right. They think we can bring. We'll all wear baggy t-shirts, no show. We'll just stand there and we'll just play our music. So people should like our music. I'm like, no.
Like, we should see you. They want to see you.
I want to see a show. But I don't want to see the quiet person that you are underneath. Because let's be honest, most bands that do these shows, they are the quietest people you'll meet. But on stage, I don't want to see that. I want to see this absolute monster of a stage man. So I always see it like Twisted Sister. We were saying, as you do today, Dee Snider, the best frontman you'll ever see. Even people that don't like glam love Twisted Sister because when they see him live, it's like, what the fuck? That was like the best show because he brought a show, and I live by Dave Lee Roth from Van Halen. I live by him because basically he was there. He's admitted in interviews he's not the best vocalist in the world. My dad obviously was a massive fan, saw him, I grew up on him. And I've known from day one. He's not the greatest vocalist in the world. But he acts like he's the greatest vocalist in the world. He is the greatest vocalist in the world because he says he is. Yeah. Therefore, he's made the show. He's the reason people want to turn up. Him and Eddie were the reason people want to turn up because they'd show off. They'd make it a show. It was not just about music anymore. It was just about what you're paying for, and that's why we like Ghost nowadays.
Yeah.
People will lynch us in the comment section for this now. So drop a comment if you hate Ghosts, but like we love Ghosts because
I love Ghosts.
They bring a show. The whole idea is right. Okay, we make these great tunes. But at the same time, that's only 30% of what we do. Exactly. The 70% is the show. They have a full show. They have, and even if you can't even afford the droppings and the pyro, the just the full like state.
You don't
need it. You don't need it. Like,
I think a lot of people forget that you can be a musician, but when you're on stage, you've got to learn how to be a performer as well. Like you're putting a show on for people.
Exactly.
Like you can be the best musician in the world, but if you can't like entertain a crowd and like bring your stage persona on, then people are just gonna walk away.
You're not gonna do shit.
Yeah.
Because I've seen God knows how many bands in my life. And I've worked for God knows how many bands. And I've always noticed that the bands would actually be shit musicians were the best ones because they brought a show. Like I've worked for who's it, Andy Nowhere League. I worked for them before, and they did So What was I think the biggest one because Metallica covered it on the Garage Inc. album. But them lads, they were very good musicians, but they were very, very more simple than the rest of them. Like they'd play tracks and go, it's just a good song, it's just a good punk song. They'll keep on doing that.
Yeah.
They did it well though, because when I saw them, the show was on point.
Yeah.
Like, and I was so intrigued by it. I was like, this guy's doing it. This guy's doing what you should be doing this from, because he was getting everyone riled up. He was like, you got to do this, you got to do this. Everyone was obeying him, man. And I was like, this is what bands are lacking. This is what, because they're playing simple. But punk is known just to be simple. It was, and this guy's doing it, and he's doing it too well. He's doing it to the point where everyone's listening to him. Everyone's doing what he's saying. You'll get a tech death band that just stand there. I'm like, I don't give a shit. You're not proving to me that I should be listening to you. And that's the sad part about music nowadays is you have to prove to them that they should be listening to you. But at the same time, I think it's a good thing about the music scene. You should be proving to people why they should be listening to it. So if you're not, if you're not like making people have the best show ever, then what's the point in seeing you?
No, absolutely. It's what you said about Ghost as well. It's absolutely right. Like people get mad about them, but I'm like, but they're doing everything right, and that is why they're getting more success than any band in the metal scene at the moment. Or at least one of them, because they go out, they perform, and they put effort into every single part of the musicianship, the costumes, like everything. Like not saying that you have to have a costume, but like they pay attention to detail. With more than
it's the drama, it's the drama.
It's the theatrics, and
amazing.
Well, so basically everyone's seeing this now. Like Motley Crue made the Dirt, and that's on Netflix. And one of the creators said, I don't know how, no one knows how true it is because it's from them. But they said you've got to bring the arena into the club.
Absolutely.
So if you're acting like you're playing arenas, but just playing clubs, not gonna lie, you'll do quite well. Because all you're doing is you're teaching these people, not teaching, because everyone wants it. Everyone knows they want it. They want to go to a show and be like, do you know what? That was the best show I've ever been to. You want to show that to everyone every time you see him, every time you talk to him, every time you want people to think, do you know what? That was the best show I went to. And I think a lot of bands no, they should like our music. Like, do you know what, right? Spotify has done this whole thing of if it's not an absolute belter, you're not really going to do well on Spotify.
Yeah, no.
We had 10,000 listens on our top song on Spotify, and we were so thankful for it. But we were added to a playlist once, and we've actually had it with two songs on it. Same guy that does, and it was great. But he had 30,000 followers on his playlist, and he had us, and we were so happy about it. And I remember a few people we knew just went, "You paid for that?" And we didn't. Yeah. We didn't pay for it. We go, "You paid for it though," and go, "Trust me, we didn't." And they were just like, "Oh no, if you can get that many listens that quick, you definitely pay for it." And go, "No, we're just in a playlist for a while." Like that happens. I think a lot of Spotify stuff goes loads of listens, fuck all listens, loads of listens, fuck all listens. Like, you know what I mean? If all it has to be is just current. So we had that with our latest single, and we got a lot of shit, didn't we?
Well, I mean, like, even if you look at that, who was that band that was on Facebook a few years ago? I can't remember
what was it called.
The metal band that was on Facebook. You'd see them all in your ads and everything. They were doing like kind of like metalcore covers and shit like this.
Oh, what the fuck was it? The Taylor Swift cover?
Yeah, they did that. What was that band called? You know what I'm on about anyway. They basically paid loads of money on Facebook ads, was doing all this stuff to gain their clout, so to speak. You know, I prevail. They did that.
Oh.
They gained their like.
Yeah, good marketing. Very good marketing.
As soon as they'd done that, they started doing what they actually wanted to do. You know, they released loads of originals and shit like that, and look at where they're at now. You know.
Oh yeah, doing very well.
So in some respects now, in this like in this market that we're living in, you've got to do what fucking Bear Grylls said. You know, you got to improvise, adapt, overcome, and if the certain situations are being on Spotify and going in different playlists and stuff, you're gonna do that. You know what I mean? As long as you're not being a poser and you're sticking to exactly what you want to do.
He's a poser. The poser alert.
You do what you're gonna do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mate, yeah, I agree with that completely. Like, if you stick to your guns, I mean, go that shit. Is like, let's be honest, though, there are people in this world that do like that.
Yeah.
And Tool did it best, to be fair.
Yeah.
They were straight up like, right, I like prog. Prog's nice, but prog is not very 90s.
But they fucking made it though.
But then they did prog in the 90s, and you were like,
smashed it.
The fuck? I don't think Tool have done a bad album. I think we listened to Tool way too much.
Not one album.
We've listened to Tool way too much in our lives.
Everything is perfect. Of course, everything is perfect.
Definitely perfectionist.
I remember when Fear Inoculum came out, and we conveniently we had a fucking Ingested show as well. Yeah,
it came out.
Yeah, we were at an Ingested show, and it had just come out that day, and me and Brad had both listened to it, and we're outside having a cig, like, what did you think to Fear Inoculum? And like for like half an hour straight, we like pretty much missed half the other band's set because we were talking about Fear Inoculum for that long.
Yeah, time just fucking passed by.
It was incredible. So it's so good.
Worth the wait.
I was like, never made a bad album, like.
Yeah,
literally never.
I remember listening to that when it came out, and I was buzzing by it, like, because obviously we've been waiting 15 years, was it? I think
something like that. Yeah.
I was 5 when their last album came. No, I was 6 when their last album came out. So I was just like, I didn't know it came out. I was 6. I was too busy playing with Action Men. Yeah. So like, but then when this one came out, because I became a massive fan when I met you. No, it's when we met Nathan. So when we was 15, I think we became massive fans. So we were waiting 6 years. We got that album.
I think bands like Tool every now and then will come across in your life, and you'll be like, "Fucking hell, I don't think of it sooner." You know what I mean?
Yeah. I got into them really late. Like, you know when they played Download?
We were there.
Yeah, I was there.
We were there.
I remember
that was the best night of my life, man.
Oh, mate, I'm not even kidding. I was sat there. I remember when they had all the shit on the screens and that. I was just staring at it like,
blood. Things that you didn't even need to be like fucked up in any way. Just look at that.
You could have looked at that completely sober.
What do you mean?
Goosebumps all the way down your back and been like, "What the fuck?"
Because they had the slat screens in the middle. They had 2 main screens, and they all connected it up. And I was just there like, wait. So some embodiment of a person that someone's drawn is now flew through the stage. What is going on? Because you're in some mad like prog section. You're like, what is this? What is going on? I love this too much. It's confused my brain to the point where I love it too much.
Well, I was watching it with mate Caleb, and I was like, was there anything in that beer? Because I was like, just what this is making me feel.
We were the same, man. We were the same. Like, we were just like, we sat there watching it, and we're like, do you know what? That was fun. But then I remember, like, it was just an hour and a half set or something like that.
Yeah.
And I went to Lyric, I was like, because I knew every Tool song. How many songs have it been? I was like, they've only been on like half an hour, have they? He went, they were on the last song. I was like,
what?
No, they haven't. No, they haven't. And he was like, they're on the last song.
That was just
shut the fuck up. And I was like, no, I just got lost in this screen and the tunes going off into massive sections. And I was like, fuck. Fuck.
Like even then, they're like prime examples of true performers. You know, they had the theatrics in the same way that Ghost do, but the way they do it is, you know, big festivals like Download have it all recorded. So they had their own visuals. They didn't record fucking none of it.
Yeah,
you know. They only came on Spotify, last year, the year before?
Yeah.
Came on. Well, that is all part of the theatrics, you know? They're living up to being told, and that's what, like, a lot of bands nowadays.
I think what they did well as well, because they were like the only band there that brought analog decks.
Yeah.
And this is going full nerdy for me. And I used to always go like, oh, digital and analog, they're basically the same thing, don't really give a shit about them. Like,
but there is a certain resonance.
But then they're completely different, but at the same time, like, I always, that engineer that used to just be like, no, digital's all the way. I heard told they were very loud as well. You remember they were very loud.
Oh, yeah.
But they were so clean for that volume. And I was like, wait, this is the kind of volume where I should be hearing.
Well, I was
hearing the best sound ever.
You think as well, like, it was stacked out from the front all the way to the back, and every single person had the same experience.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know what I mean? Exactly. I don't think I doubt there was anyone at the back going, can't hear it. You know what I mean?
Not gonna lie, like,
wow.
I don't know who their engineer is, but he's a genius. He's an absolute genius.
I think I want to go backstage and be like, who's the engineer? How the fuck have you done that?
What's going on?
Literally. Well, I was thinking as well, do you want to, after we get out of this, do you want me to bring the other two?
Yeah.
Do the swap over, and then you know the best gig and worst gig question that you were asking for?
Yeah.
We'll come back.
Worst gig. No.
Well, that's Scotland. That's Scotland.
No.
But best gig and worst gig we'll come back up for.
Yeah.
So you tell the other two lads, bring, just say bring Alex and Panda back up and we'll do it.
Yeah. You guys get revising.
I'll get them two lads now, and we'll you finish. There you go.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, I'll get them two, and we'll have a chat in about a second.
Yeah, no problem.
That one's there. Right, cool. I'll see you in 2 seconds. I'll bring them up.
You jump into guilty pleasures.
Yeah. Jump into guilty pleasures and then influences.
Yeah.
I think it's going really well.
Yeah, I agree. Right, enjoying it.
Yeah, it's been a good chat.
So I think we'll do it till about 9 or something. A good 2 hours there.
Yeah. Good 2 hours of content there.
Yeah. Because I think my camera might cut out after 2 hours.
We changed out the SD card on it.
I don't have any more. That's the best one I've got.
Yeah.
It's,
have you cleared the old one or?
Yeah, I was glad it was clean before I put them on. So hearing you guys talk about tools makes me so jealous.
Oh mate, you should have been there. I don't get why you didn't go download, honestly.
I think there were a reason. I think I was in Berlin.
Yeah, you were in Berlin the month before, weren't you?
No,
you were in Berlin the month after.
No, it was the same month, but I couldn't afford it because I'd stayed in Berlin.
Both, yeah.
So annoying. I definitely would have got a day ticket. And now I have no idea when I'm going to see Tool now.
Yeah, no. Should have done it. Should have gone.
So there's not many bands I'd pay over 100 quid to see, but I'd see over 100 to see Tool. Yeah, just once.
Hey up.
Easy.
Hey up, boys.
Hey up.
Hey up. How you doing?
How you guys doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm Tom. Do you want to go? Dig
I'm
off?
Steve. Well, you can call me Dave. You can call me.
I'm Nathan. This is Brad.
Yep. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought let's jump into some questions. So this is like a bit of a silly one, but I always find that like he gets like the best ones.
All right, go on then.
Right, outside of like the music you play, so like heavy metal and that, what's like your guilty pleasures? What do you see yourself like banging on like?
What do you sing in the shower?
Whether it's like fucking Beyonce, whatever, fuck, just whatever. What do you find yourself going? Oh,
I got
for a bit. I'll listen to this.
For me, it's a funny one because like I spent the first 10 years of my life in the Middle East, and my mum's Palestinian, so like I've got a lot. You know, I'm very much associated with that culture and stuff. And I love listening to Lebanese pop. Lebanese pop singers, mate. Some of that music is awesome. Like the different sort of layers of percussion they involve in the music and that, and the various like sort of melodies and that. I'm an absolute sucker for Arabic pop music. I love it.
What's it like? Could you recommend me someone just so I can have a listen after this?
The most famous pop singer in Lebanon is a woman called Najwa Karam.
Najwa Karam.
So her first name is Najwa, and then Kram. Najwa Karam, and she's like the most famous singer in Lebanon, pretty much. Yeah, that's my guilty pleasure.
For me, I'm a big lover of typical pop music. I think that one of my favorite claims to fame is that in 2016, me and my friend went to go see Slipknot, and then 6 months later at the same venue, I went to see Take That with my mum.
Love the contrast.
I mean, I love Take That, honestly. Progress in the Circus.
Take That slap.
Two of the best pop songs of all time. Besides that, I've seen people like Dua Lipa, but I like a lot of pop punk. I'm a big pop punk drummer. My favorite bands some of my favorite bands are Fall Out Boy, Blink-182. Me and my parents named my dog Travis Barker. Even though I play in a metal band, you know, I cried when My Chemical Romance got back together. So that's kind of it's pop and emo. That's kind of me.
Do you ever feel that this sort of music inspires you guys then? Like, even though obviously you're playing different music, do you find yourself like being influenced like subconsciously by these other music genres?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I think that when I got asked to join Pariah and there was kind of a lot of thrash influence, there was a lot of crossover between the kind of double time that you find in pop punk, the kind of offbeat buda, and then, you know, I kind of joined these guys and there was a lot of that kind of stuff. Yeah. I was able to translate a lot of my years playing pop punk and Blink-182, Negative, people like that, to playing in more of a heavy thrash environment because I kind of grew up on bands like Iron Maiden and things like that, so I can easily cross over, which is cool.
Biggest influence for me bass-wise has definitely been reggae music.
Yeah.
Reggae and dub, because my parents have been playing that stuff to me since I was a toddler, and that's where I got my sort of bass chops from. Really, reggae and dub, because bass is such a vital part of that music style.
Yeah. I think it's really slept on is bass.
Absolutely.
Like, the biggest thing I kind of like push for me is like, look, it's like when you hear a good bass hook in a song, it breaks it up really fucking well.
It just gels
and
it together.
It adds it. I was like, I prefer songs where you can hear the bass as well. Because in my opinion, a lot of bands, they don't utilise that. They don't utilise it as well as they should.
It's especially a problem in metal music. A lot of bass players, they'll just play what the guitar's playing. You know what I mean? They'll play a root note version of whatever the power chords are, and they'll keep it simple, and they'll just sort of fill in a role. Whereas the bass should be an instrument on its own, because you know, you can, with just bass and drums, you can do so much.
Yeah.
I mean, we do in practice.
Oh, yeah, we try to anyway. But if you've got a really cracking drummer and a really cracking bass player, that's the difference between a good band and a great band right there.
Oh, yeah.
That really tight rhythm section that just keeps it all moving. You know, it's a vital part, I think, of any band.
Yeah.
Completely agree.
It's fucking, when you hear good, like, proper chuggy bass, fucking
exactly.
You're like, oh.
It builds up all the empty spaces. You've got the guitar taking up that sort of top end, and you've got the drums all in the bottom, like adding the backbone. The bass provides more meat. That's what it's all about for me.
Yeah. So
Yeah, there we go.
I think next question is, what influences do you bring towards Pariah? Because I think that'll be a good jumping off point from what we just spoke about.
I think as a drummer, I think that mainly, I mean, I kind of dabbled with speed at a very young age, kind of playing to a lot of. I mean, well, you know.
I mean, speed is in tempo.
I mean, speed is in tempo.
Yeah, clarified that one.
Yeah. So I kind of started playing very, very fast, very, very young, playing to a lot of pop punk, kind of playing to quite a lot of thrash, and then when I got asked to join, it was a big part of my appeal, I think, to the guys was playing fast at a tempo that stayed consistent, especially live, especially in the studio, and I can play to a metronome as well, which helps. Yeah. And I think that the fact that I can bring a lot of different elements to it and bring a lot of different elements to the music while still playing fast, playing mid-tempo, but still maintaining that I feel like a lot of non-musicians don't realize that tempo is the most important thing.
Definitely. I was going to say that, like, sort of supporting what you said, that I think one of your biggest sort of strengths within the band is that our Tommy is not just a metalhead, he is a student of music. You know what I mean? Like, so...
I mean, I toured with a jazz band
exactly,
for a few years.
Within your drumming, there's so many flavours. And, like, it just gives it that extra little bit, you know what I mean? Like, just the little bits here and there that you might not necessarily think, oh, that sounds like a jazz lick or whatever, but you hear it and you think, oh, that drummer's doing something a bit different, you know what I mean? Like,
I feel like drums can get extremely stale,
especially in metal.
Over time. Like, I mean, I've mentioned Maiden before, but listen to bands like Iron Maiden, where you can listen to Nico McBrain from Iron Maiden play a Maiden drum lick and it's Maiden, and you can tell that that's Iron Maiden. But I think with Pariah, what I'm wanting to do is I'm wanting to listen to the guitar, then relate to my experience playing drums, and then say, right, how can I make the drums make this song better? Which is kind of what I'm always trying to do. Yeah. And then in terms of the bass,
I don't know. I'm sort of trying to find a middle point where, like, part of the responsibility, I think, as a bass player within a band is you almost sort of have to admit to yourself that you're not going to be in the same sort of spotlight that a guitarist or a vocalist or outside of the metal world that a horn section or a keyboard might be in.
Yeah.
That's not your role. You know what I mean? That's just simply not what you're there for. As a bass player, you're there to add the sort of, you know, the meat of the music. You're there to add body, add thickness to it all. But at the same time, you don't have to be playing exactly what the rest of the band is playing.
Yeah, I've always seen the bass as like holding the bottom line of the melody.
So the way I see my bass playing, sort of personally, is like a mixture between sort of the more traditional metal element where the bass is there simply as a sort of a thickener. You know, you listen to band, you know, if you listen to classic bands, like Motorhead's the most immediate example that comes to mind. Because when I saw Motorhead at a very young age, that was one thing that when I was very young sort of set a standard in my head about what bass is all about.
Yeah.
When you went to see Motorhead play back in the day, bass was the body of the sound. You know what I mean? It gave it all of its sort of thickness and size, but you go outside the metal world, you go to the funk and soul world, you go to the jazz world, the bass is very much more just another layer mixed in with the various other instruments that are going on. So you combine those two together, the bass has got to be this present big instrument that is giving everything else that boost it needs to really sort of, you know, power through and really shake people's rib cages about. But at the same time, it is still a melodic instrument. You know, you can do something with it that's outside of what the rest of the band is doing. I don't know, I'm sort of trying to find somewhere in between those two places. I don't want to be a full jazz and funk bass player, just completely going off on one and sacrificing the simplicity, because sometimes you need the simplicity. You need the more sort of Lemmy style, where you're tugging on one note but that one note that you're chugging on means that everything else sounds twice the size.
I mean, I think that if like that one note,
sort of reach that middle point.
If that one note that you're chugging on gets a field of like 50,000 people going,
that's what it's about. At the end of the day, you know, you're trying to get this crowd of people watching you to see you and be like, "Fuck, you know."
But if you can add something interesting,
that's the bottom line, though. You know, we're just trying to give the crowd a good time. Yeah. I think bass is so important because it's that moment. You know, we've all felt it at a crowd watching a gig when the bass comes in and you feel it in your chest. Yeah. It's such an important part of it all, you know.
Big time.
I remember once being at a gig where the bass was so high, I felt my nostrils like vibrating. I remember being sat there like, fucking hell. I literally was sat there. I thought, I'm like, this is gonna give me like a heart palpitation or some shit. Like,
the thing about that is like you've remembered it, and then so there you go.
That's the main thing. Like that's why seeing Motorhead when I was 9 was so like massive for me, because I was still like quite a young kid, and just for the first time ever seeing this live show where the bass was literally shaking my insides, and just the pure power of it. You know, it set a standard for me internally, which was like, you know, that's what I want. I want to go on stage and start playing, and I want people to literally, like, almost like get knocked backwards by the very force of it.
Yeah.
That's what I experienced when I was very young, and I think, you know, that's what it's all about. You almost want to feel it as much as you hear it.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, who better to represent bass than Lemmy as well? Like, he proper made it cool, didn't he?
Exactly, because he was the champion of the idea that less is more.
Yeah.
His bass lines were never particularly complex. You know, he never played anything particularly complicated.
But extremely memorable.
But in the context of it, exactly, it worked.
Well, I mean,
did the job.
Like you listen to the beginning of Ace of Spades, and that's him.
It's one note.
And if you play that to anyone, they all know what song it is.
Yeah, there's one note. All it is one note, but it strikes you so deep.
It was his tone as well. His tone was like a lot of people think that fucking opening bit, like who don't like, you know, like listen to like heavy metal and stuff, think it's just the guitar. It's like no, that's the fucking bass.
Realization.
It makes people do a double take every time. They're like, what the, you know, is that the bass player?
Like, you sure?
Yeah, no, I was speaking to people who still don't know that, and they'll be like, oh yeah, the guitar's so good. I'm like, mate, that's fucking bass.
That's just the bass.
Yeah.
And I think every bass player has a lot to learn from that, because we live in it, particularly right now at the point we're at in this day and age, especially in metal. Music is becoming more complicated than ever, more technical than ever, and sometimes you just need to ride on one note and just enjoy it. You know what I mean? Yeah. As much for the band playing as the audience. You know, like you play something simple, but it sounds damn good and it gets the crowd moving. Well, you know, it's not just about. Sorry, I feel like I'm doing all the talking.
No, go for it.
It's not just about being a good musician and being the best fucking soloist on the planet. You know. What all of us are trying to do, you know, it's no different than the age of the wandering minstrel. It's about you play something and the crowd of people watching you play go, oh, that sounds nice, I like that, you know. And it is that simple. It doesn't all have to be flashy solos and massive complex time signature changes and this and that. Sometimes it just needs to be a proper basic tune that gets people moving.
I could come up with a really bad analogy.
This is the issue with metal at the moment, I think, in particular, is that every band is trying to be as technical as possible, but they're forgetting to make songs.
Yeah,
and like actually make something memorable.
Absolutely, I completely agree with that.
If you look at Pariah, one of the biggest metal bands that have ever fucking walked the planet, right? And Domination and fucking Cowboys from Hell and Walk and stuff like that. Those are some of the first riffs people learn on guitar because of how simple it's made, but it's played well.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of people are getting complicated with. A lot of people are like, let's make it as technical as possible. It doesn't need to be.
No.
I think part of the problem is these days, a lot of musicians make music for musicians. You know what I mean? Like, so you're making a track that other people who study music or, you know, they do it at uni or whatever, or they're professionals in the industry, and they'll hear it and like a music student will want to hear something technical and impressive and pushing the boundaries, but just your average Joe just listens to the radio when he gets in his car on a morning. They're not after the record-breaking guitar solo of 2020. They're just after a track.
Yeah,
I mean, to be fair,
at the end of the day, that's your audience. That is going to be your audience.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Not everyone you're playing to is a musician.
I mean, to be fair, I go to Leeds Conservatoire, which is a university in Leeds, and there's all kinds of musicians there, from jazz to classical to a cappella to pop. And there's quite a few bands who try and do heavy things, but I've always said in my musical experience, it's great if you can play to that level, but if you can't create a song that people remember, it doesn't matter. And especially like being at a university where a lot of people play things like jazz and that, but at the same time, they've got a diverse taste. They're into metal. They try and put those techniques into metal, and I'm completely for innovation. But when it becomes a song that someone can't enjoy because you're trying to put in your personal skill to show off inside your song, it's not a song, it's a demonstration.
It's a portfolio.
It's a portfolio.
It's like, Sound of Perseverance by Death.
Brilliant album.
Ever tried to headbang to that album?
Nah.
It's hard to do it, you know what I mean? You're on one rhythm and then suddenly, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes people can just get a little bit, and that's not to say that's not a good album, because it is a cracker of an album. Sometimes people get complicated and they get technical simply for the sake of they listen back to their own music and they go, oh, this isn't good enough, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just a big flex, I think, sometimes.
Exactly. It's definitely in the same way that rappers, rappers will try and outdo each other by how many drugs they do or how many girls they shag on a night or whatever it is.
For example, Eminem now.
How many words did he fit in the paragraph?
I mean, I'm a hip-hop fan. Eminem now will try and fit as many words as he can into a 30-second sequence. And it's like, that's not what made rap music great.
Literally, like...
With that, I've always said to my mate, he's like, he loves new hip-hop, like the trap like sort of thing. And
I kind of do as well.
I love it.
He always like, argues with like old heads, and when they always bring up Eminem, it's like, yeah, but like, when you hear a guy going, you kind of just go, you can't fuck this. I'm not listening.
I completely agree with that, because that's all it sounds like. Who gives a shit what lyrics he's coming out with if you can't make out the lyrics? You know what I mean? Like, because the whole thing that made rap music take off is these impressive. It's a form of poetry. You know what I mean?
It's about flow as well. If it doesn't have flow, then it's not a good rap song.
Yeah,
like, it doesn't matter how fast you're going.
Exactly. You go back to the old school. These guys were wordsmiths. These guys were putting together verses that when you actually hear the individual words and what the message they're giving you, you actually like relate to it on a certain level. But if somebody's jabbering out something so fast that you can't even understand it, then it defeats that purpose.
Literally.
And it's almost like that with, in some ways it's like that with, with guitar playing. It's, some of the greatest solos ever written are also some of the simplest. When you just hear the feeling in somebody's playing, that matters 100 times more than how many notes they can fit in a single bar,
Yeah.
I think that's one of the biggest problems in the metal world right now, is just finding that balance between technicality, but, just good music that people want to listen to.
That's literally it.
Literally, you look at all, like, new metal, a lot of people hate it, a lot of people shit on it, right? But that was when metal was at the height of its hype. Like,
absolutely.
It was on MTV, it was on it fucking everything. And you look at that shit, and it's quite fucking simple. You know what I mean? Like, but now we've found this problem where you got these bands going, we've got weird time signatures. We we play at 300 BPM, and
we've got guitars with 18 strings.
And you're there like,
but you've also got an album that's just like goes by in about 40 minutes, and I still don't know when the song's changed.
And it's sometimes,
if you get a good band that does that well, like Cryptic Shifter, a prime example, they're a band that does something different,
well.
It's
Massive
incredible.
what they do.
Yeah, but like when you get like other bands that try to do that, but they try to go over the top, that's when it gets the problem. Whereas like you get good bands when they go, this is what we're going for. You know, well, it's just not fuck it, let's just focus on this. Do you know what I mean? And that's I think that's the difference between bands that do it well and bands that don't execute it as well.
I think part of the problem is like you say is people doing it for the sake of it. Is I think we've been guilty of this in some part as a band. Like we haven't, it hasn't really gone into our music, but it's something that we actively think about. Is that I think a lot of musicians genuinely sort of worry about if their music they're putting out is technical enough. You know what I mean? I was like, well, have I included enough times English changes? Have I included enough?
So true.
You know, is this intellectual enough? You know what I mean?
Like, I mean, like that's just what happens when you grow up listening to Tool.
Yeah, like.
I mean, I never did, so I'm just going to play.
Because you have a certain standard internally that you sort of work to, but how many other people listening are actually listening to that same
and resonating? Because there's got to be a point to it all. Otherwise, what is the point?
And I feel like when you start pressurizing yourself like that, you lose the point of music, which is the fun of it.
Yeah.
Like, have fun while you're doing it, or there's no point.
It's like, I keep bringing up my band and stuff, but it's the only experience that I've got. Like, it's like, I find the funniest part about band practice is when you're fucking around. You know, when you sat there and you're like, oh, I'm just playing this. You're like, mate, that actually sounds sick. Let's fucking use that.
It's moments like that where you get something unexpected, something you weren't planning on, and you hear it and you think, holy shit, we've just struck gold. You know what I mean? Like, and that is how it should be.
And that's what, like, a lot of the songs on our new record are like. It was either a bass riff thought by Dig or, you know, a guitar riff thought by Alex Apanda. And then that's made its way onto our new release, which I think is really special.
That's what I love about Pariah, is that me and Alex and Panda have been doing, you know, we've been jamming together and bashing out riffs and stuff since we were in school together. And then when we let go of our last drummer, we were sort of like, oh, where the hell do we go from here? And then Tom came into the mix, and it was, you know, it was so refreshing because he brought a new perspective, a new sort of way of looking at music. And he is a proper studious guy, you know, like.
Many thanks.
I would describe Tom as just a student of music in general, not into one genre or the other. And
it's important to be open about it.
Absolutely,
sure.
yeah. And I think that goes well. That goes well with myself and Alex and the other guys in the band. Because, you know, we've all got our own influences, our own things we've taken from, you know, a young age that we brought forward into this.
Cheers.
And that's where you have the most fun. It's like you say, you know, when you're trying to deliver a product that you've tried to develop to a set of specifications, that's no fun. Because you've got deadlines, you've got things that you're trying to do for someone else, and that feels like work.
Yeah.
When you just the four of you get together, throw ideas between you, and come up with something completely organic, completely something that's just you guys have thought of it and thought, oh, that's cool. You know, that's the whole reason any of us are doing this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, pretty much.
It's the chemistry between you guys. You know what I mean?
Exactly,
That's why you create something really nice instead of being like sitting there like, we need to do this, we need to do that. It's like, just let it come naturally, because if it doesn't, then it's not going to be a good product.
Right?
That's what I mean, exactly.
You speak to a lot of bands and like, you know, I've met a couple bands in my lifetime that have been like, the way they write is completely different to like how I see writing. But a lot of them are like, oh, well, we just get a drum track and then we go over it. But I find that sometimes when you make the best stuff is when you're in the practice room all together.
Yeah.
You just say like, what you got? And they're like, I've got this. And then like, what you got? And I've got this. And then before you know it, you got fucking 4 tracks done. And you're like, how the fuck have we even done that?
Yeah, exactly.
That is just how it goes sometimes.
Yeah. I think it's so important to do things like that, though, because when somebody works on something themselves and it's just them working on something with just their point of view, you become single-minded. You only see things from the way you see them. Whereas if you have 4 different, completely different sets of opinions all coming together over something, 4 completely different points of view all meeting, that's when you get the best results, because when it's just you on your own, it's easy to convince yourself that something that's not that good might be all right. But it's so important to have another bandmate there who will just honestly say to you, nah, that sounds shit. Do you know what I mean? Because
I was about to say that, like,
you need that honesty.
You get someone playing it and you're like, I can see what they're going for, but if you had that one person that was just unargued with,
exactly,
you'd be like,
that'll do.
Yeah, I mean, you'd be like,
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You wouldn't have a good end product by the end of it.
Exactly. You need another member there to say, nah, don't do that. What you should do is this. And when you bring all those opinions together, then mix them together and get the end result, that will defeat anything that comes out of one singular person's mind. Every time.
It was like at our band practice on Monday. I was fucking like, so I was literally just fucking about on the mic doing like, you know, like black metal vocals and shit. And we ended up changing our sound. Like we scrapped everything that we worked on, and we're like, right, you know what's really, you know what sound really sit behind that if we did like Black Tongue style down tuning with your vocals and then hard, and we did it, and we were like, nah.
It worked. That's what I mean. You need that. You need those extra opinions in there to make you try stuff that you yourself would have gone, nah, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Because that's how you develop. That's how it all grows. Because, you know, with every song that we've done as a band, there's been a moment where one of us has had there's been a moment where one of us had an idea that they're really behind, that they think is a, you know, really strong suggestion for the song that we're working on. And the other members of the band have shot it down, or they've said, there's bits of that work, there's others that don't. This we'll work on these bits and they work. And that makes for the most organic sort of product at the end of it.
Absolutely.
You know, you need to have as many opinions in there as you can.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Right, so we are running out of time a tiny bit, just before my camera dies on me. So is it alright if we get Alex back on so we can do the quick stories? Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I'll go get him.
Yeah. Great stuff though, guys.
He's gonna run get him.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers. Fucking you two gave a fucking mint interview then as well.
Yeah, literally. It's been a great interview.
I'm not gonna lie, I fucking love this interview. It's been so fun.
Yeah, just Dig just goes off and does this thing, and I'm just here.
You both gave
like both of you separate like gave really good fucking like a really good interview.
Yeah.
And I'm proper excited to put this out. Not gonna lie. It was so good.
So sweet. Yeah, it's just nice that we're all in the same place for the first time in 6 months.
Yeah.
Oh, hey up!
Hey up.
Hey up, boys.
Oh, I left my beer downstairs, man.
Oh, fucking hell.
Hello.
I've noticed that all these down here. Do I have to do that as well?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to do that.
Part of the quick, mate. Part of the quick.
Well, I mean,
Right. I was been given the backend off Diggle saying they need you.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So worst gig story, best gig story.
Oh, right.
You can probably answer the worst gig.
So, right, so the worst gig first. Worst gig first, so we don't look at shit. So, worst gig, Edinburgh.
Was it the last time that we played it?
Last time I played Edinburgh.
Oh, right, okay.
So what happened was...
well, so we'd first driven up 4 hours there.
5 hours.
Yeah, it was about
5 hours it took us to get there. We had a great car journey.
Yeah, because...
Spanner for days.
Yeah.
But...
So, we got settled into the flat, all great, all looking like a good time.
It was the one day we didn't bring a spare guitar, which we do every show, because we couldn't fit in the car. We brought half our merch just because we couldn't fit in the car. And Panda's Luke's string broke.
First song.
Second song.
No, it was Sell 2B, man.
Oh, his first song it broke.
First song.
First song it broke. We didn't have. I had a spare set of strings that was in my bag, but that was in the flat upstairs. So what happened again? the first and last gig we will ever not bring a guitar, a spare guitar. So what happened was we ended up bringing Panda ran upstairs and he went to go change his string.
Well, I remember it was halfway through the first song and I'm doing my part and I hear this twang and then half of my monitors were completely out of tune. And I'm just going, right, so someone's just broken a string and I'm still there and I'm doing all my stuff. And I look over at Panda Luke on my right-hand side and and he looks at me with the most harrowing look I've ever seen him give me, as if to say, oh God, it's me. And so the second that song finishes, I see him grab his guitar, pull it over his neck, and he jumps off stage like he's Superman, as if like he just jumps off with both of his arms in front of him, and I just see him run out of the venue.
Yeah, but things he then went up with the support, the band before us, Johnny Stern, nicest and best guitarist you'll fucking meet.
Yeah,
he is ridiculous, but he went upstairs to Panda, and I told Panda, I remember whispering to him, say whispering, you're on stage, just shouting at him, but you've got to write his in. I was shouting at him, I was like, right, in my camo bag, there is a spare set of strings. Replace whatever string it is with that. So he runs upstairs.
And then we wait.
We were like, we're not gonna wait during a show.
Well, I just remember you saying, all right.
We went 2 secs and we're like, no, he's not coming to come back soon. So we
So I just remember you saying, right, so we just kicked that dude out. So now we're a 3-piece.
And basically, so we played the second song in our set, which ironically was the one that Panda wrote.
Yeah, it was that Foxpiss?
Yeah, it's Foxpiss we did. So it's the one that Panda mainly wrote. So we did that and was like, as a 3-piece. So I moved to his side of the stage, and I was like, right, that's how it's going. So moved to his side. So the engineer got it straight away. He then just turned my vocals up in that monitor and just front of house. So just so it looked a bit better, because I was like, I don't want it so there's just one guy in the middle, no guy at the side, and one guy at the other side. So I moved to the side with that. So one song, I think.
I think it was either one or two.
It's 1.5. It's 1.5 songs, because basically halfway through the next song, after that, the entrance to the venue, bolted to the stage.
Guitar in hand.
Stage. Fresh strings. Just fucking bolted, plugged in.
Straight
away did it. And I was like, he's not going to be in tune. These strings are stretched. Straight away in tune. Johnny helped him with it, and Johnny is. I'm gonna. Everyone knows their own guitars. They always know how much you got to stretch the strings, how much you got to do all this. Johnny, I think, is such a genius that he will look at someone's strings and go, no, they need stretching, and then just do it the exact amount. So he helped do it, brought it to the stage, and he came back on stage and went, so we've settled our differences, and he's come back. So Pariah is now Pariah again.
So this is the reunion show.
Yeah, it's the reunion show after one song. I nearly pissed them off because they were being quite quiet, because obviously we were the second.
Yeah, we were second out of 4 bands on.
Second out of 4 bands on, and they were being quite quiet, and I ended up saying, because I was like drinking, it was just before Beer Feast, I was like, let's have a drink. I did.
Well, the thing is, like, we're in Scotland, so everyone likes to have a drink.
Everyone likes to have a drink.
Yeah.
Same in Yorkshire, everyone likes to have a drink.
Yorkshire.
But basically, I ended up going, I was like, do I have to have a drink? I was like, no. I was like, I didn't know we were in fucking Oxford. And the crowd, I shit you not, just looked at me like, what? And I was like, right, I've got to say this one.
So I was very glad
this one somewhere. I bet he was glad he was behind a kit.
Yeah, I was very glad that was behind a kit at the time.
One bottle was thrown, and I was like, can we fucking show that we are true Scottish? We can show that we are Scotland, that are famous for doing what they want. They are famous for being the ones that are the best in the UK. And they were like, Rah! And I was like, oh, no. that was literally like nearly bottle central, and we did it. And and after that, like we played the full show. So that was the worst case.
Worst case scenario.
The worst case scenario in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Because it was when Panda turned up, it was the song just after Panda turned back up that I said that, and they were just like, and we went backstage after, and I was like, maybe I shouldn't have said, "Are we in Oxford?" And the rest of the was like.
And I mean,
you know what? I wouldn't say to any Scottish person, "Are we in England?" Because you guys are pussies. And so when we went back, they were all just like, "Yeah, Alex, you probably shouldn't have said that." And they were trying to be nice to me. And I went out. We went out that night. Like me and Digger went out that night with the rest of the band.
Yeah.
With the rest of the other bands, and then a few of the fans. Like we had a flat party after because we were just staying upstairs.
Yeah.
And I went to a few.
This doesn't sound like the worst gig ever.
This is the worst gig ever. We've had quite a good gig so far, to be fair. It's pretty, and we went out with them after, and I kept going to every single one of them. I'm so sorry for what I said. I did not mean it in the way I meant it, the way I said it. And they were like, promise that. And I was like, I promise, genuinely, I didn't mean it like that. I said that to the York crowds, and they nearly bottled me every time. They were like, well, at least one bottle nearly hit you. And I was like, I was like,
turned it around there.
Yeah, good thinking for turning it around.
I know.
That could have gone down bad.
I didn't think I could turn it around. Like after I said that, I was like, right, so the fire exits are there and there.
Like on the plane.
It's a good 10 seconds to get to there, right? So therefore, that's a good like 7 bottles have hit me now. So if I can stay conscious for that whole time, it's fine. But I kept saying to like, they were like, we know you were joking, we didn't give a shit. But at the time, like from the reaction from the crowd, like no one gave a shit. But from the reaction of the crowd, I was like, Tom, we're dead. Tom, we're dead.
This is it. Pariah.
Yeah.
So on the other hand,
but best gig though.
Yeah.
Best gig. I'm gonna say Ingested.
To be fair,
that would
either that or the one spotting
Lost
Society, yeah.
So
and these are my first 2 gigs.
First 2 gigs is both in the same venue as well.
Both in Fibbers and York Rip.
So we were playing a show and we practiced God knows how much with.
Yeah, because I just joined and we were kind of
new boy, but he was like, do you know what? Right, I'm gonna piss off some of the crowd.
Yeah,
I'm gonna wear.
So
I'm gonna wear a what was it? My Chemical Romance shirt.
Well, the first shirt that I wore was a Kanye West shirt.
Yeah. Here he is. We've just told a story about you fucking up your strings in Scotland.
That was embarrassing.
They were the best one. Like I see the one of them 2 gigs because both of them went amazing and we did really well. But he was first one with him, so we were so worried because we knew we practiced too much. Like we would do it. We hated the songs by the time we finished. We were like, no.
I mean, I still hate the song.
We'd done 100 hours probably on that set list just to get him up to speed. He got it in the first practice in the first 4 hours, but we're like, no, got to drill it. Absolutely, we got to make it a second fucking like.
See, now I'm in bad.
You got to make it an extra sense. Is those songs? So we did that, and I've never been more proud of this boy ever because he'd only been with us a month. A month before the first one,
day one,
maybe 2 months after the second one, and
come on, you're gonna make me cry.
Oh, stop it! But we had the best shows ever had. That was the biggest crowd, and Jesse was the biggest crowd I ever had.
I think the Lost Society was special.
We found out that 350 were ingested.
But the thing is with the Lost Society, which if we lump them together, are we cool to say that we sold more than
we sold 80 tickets
for a Fibbers show? And Lost Society sold
40,
and Lost Society sold 40, and they're an international touring. They are sick, but it's just
at the same
nice
time. Though,
for us.
we had loads of friends that love Lost Society, and we're going to go to Lost Society anyway when you were playing. So we were just like, well, let's get a ticket off us because it was cheaper through us, wasn't it? It was cheaper through us than it was through the website. So we sold all these tickets to the Lost Society fans that were in York. It was amazing, but the amount of people were there, and our mine and his boss were just like, right, I thought this little amount of ticket sales we've had on the night, we've had online. I was like, yeah, Tim, I've got to talk to you about that. We kind of accidentally nicked everyone. And they're like, what do you mean? And I gave them the wad of cash because we do 10 quid a ticket. We gave him money for it, and he gave us our cut through that.
It wasn't like a sold out gig or anything.
Yeah.
Tim had basically said to us that, like, you know, when you're selling tickets as a rep, you'll get like £1 commission like per ticket. So we were like, all right, cool. So we'll probably, we sold what, like
80.
We had, like, at first we had a certain amount of tickets that we would give out and everything. And we sold a fair amount of them and everything. And then he turns around and gives us like a bigger commission after we'd done it as well.
He was like, you guys are genuinely doing really well.
I mean, he is like the tip top, like, professional.
Well, he put on Bullets My Valentine when they were in clubs.
He knows exactly.
He put them when they were first starting. He put on Arctic Monkeys in when they were first starting.
He's Billie Eilish.
He's friends with them all, man.
He's gonna put Billie on
He was the guy that made Fibbers, and he was probably the one support we've had the whole time. Because when we started, we had with Chris as well. But two Chris from Fulford Arms in York, like, they were so supportive of us when we first started. They were just like, when we first started, like, we're only getting a Friday, and they're like, you do know though, if a gig's not good on a Friday, we don't have many people there, then we are gonna have to like charge more because it's a Friday night. You know what I mean? You go, they could have a million sold out bands at that night. But like, no, it's fine. We will give you the opportunity to do it. Like, genuinely, we'll give you an opportunity. But you're gonna have to promise us that it's gonna be good. And this is our first headline. We were like, shit. No advance tickets as well. It was all on the door. We were texting every mate. We were texting every person we know it comes to our shows. Like, please come to this gig, please.
Please, everyone.
Oh my God! Like, I'm gonna fucking die if not. Oh, I can't set him. And what happened? We had 95 in that show. It's 150 cap, that venue. It's quite a small venue, Fulford Arms. It's our favourite venue though, other than Fibbers. But that's closed. But it's our favourite venue. It's genuinely our favourite venue, and it was packed. From our eyes, because obviously it's 150. But I would not really want to be one of the people in the 150 in that venue because it's so.
No, I feel tight. Like that would be completely dangerous.
Well, we played that, and one of the Chris's, two Chris's that run both arms. They were both like, no, that did really well for us. And I was like, it's our first head, and they're like, no, you've done well. He went, I'm proud of you boys. And I was like, stop it, you've worked with big bands, stop it. Stop it. But like, we've been friends with, but I think we were quite lucky from the amount of promoters we knew. Just off the backs, we Connor from Northern Extremity that we now run because he passed it on. We knew Tim, cause obviously we worked with him, we knew Chris is just from association, and they were the kind of 3 promoters in York for our scene. So, but anything with them 3, like anything with them 4 people, but anything with them 3 organisations was for us the best.
Yeah,
because we had a good crowd every time, like, and we did well every time, and it was just done well. Everything to do with those because they were such polished producers. such polished like promoters. They knew how to promote a gig. They knew how to do it properly, and I don't think we could be any more thankful for how the York scene's been with us when we started. Cause we were just little fucking gobby teenagers when we started, and we thought we were the best shit.
I mean, you did.
I did. I thought I was the best shit. Like, we did think we were the best shit going like back in 2018 when we were just 18. But
don't draw me into this.
Well, he wasn't part of us. We hated him, but
it's just being young and naive, you know. It
young and
doesn't
naive.
matter whatever you do, like
that reverts back there to what we were saying about like bands like not. Yeah, it's fine. Piss off. Piss off. Get out of my house.
Nah.
And then I think that reverts
Cheers,
back
lads.
to.
Cheers. Thank you for coming.
Then that reverts back to as we were saying. This, by the way, it's full circle. This.
Yeah, it's come full circle.
There's consistency. I like it.
This reverts back to us saying people don't care who they smack down to get to the top.
Yeah.
At first, I think we were them. We were the guys that we didn't really care who we hurt. We didn't care what we did. But our first gigs were with kind of quite a big band, like way bigger bands than we've ever been. And they were like straight away since day one, never take advantage, hurt anyone by. Never take advantage, hurt anyone, like push anyone down, just make yourselves big. And since then, we took that very seriously. We took it very literally. We were like, no, that is how it is.
Yeah.
So I think from that, I've gone from that, our best gig to that. But no, our best gig was 3 promoters, but the best ever one I think was Ingested.
Yeah.
Just because we had the biggest crowd.
It was incredible.
Yeah, it was really
the sound was amazing. We had Joel on it. We had Street Soldier as well. So obviously, since we know Street Soldier, we had some of their fans turn up. We had just loads. It was one of the first ever gigs that more than 10 people have come up to me and go, do you know, come up to me like after and go, you guys are sick. Like I really like you, and Brandon, you were one of them. We had a chat. I remember this. Like you told me it when we were in Key Club once, and I was like, we didn't chat. We didn't chat. And I thought about it for 10 minutes after we had that chat, and I was like,
did we?
Chat. We did chat. We did chat Ingested, and I was because basically after our set, so during Street Show Ingested, I was like, it's my night off. It's our hometown show. I'm gonna have quite a few drinks. We'd sorted out someone to come pick up our gear and drop it off at my house, just so no one had to worry about driving, no one had to worry about anything. It was just tonight we can just get drunk because it was our venue. It was our venue. It was the venue we worked at. It was all this. We were like, right, let's get drunk.
No, you know what? It was an incredible show. Like, it's actually one of my favorite gigs of all time. Like, you guys, Street Soldier, Ingested, like, it was an incredible show. And also the night after was like, is one of my most memorable nights out because it was just so random.
I've still got that video. You board on the spinning thing.
Yeah, I was like drunk playing on
the mate. That is my life, mate. Like, the reason I go to fucking Pot World in York is I don't think I've ever been there. Right? I've never been bought a drink for me in my life that someone's hitting on me ever. Until I went to Pot World, there'd be these 4-year-old women. I was still at the bar, just buy my own drink, and this 4-year-old woman come up to me and was like, "You're looking nice." I was like,
"Thanks, I guess."
A couple of them in the past have gone, "You look like my son." I'm like, "You can no,
don't do this."
It's fine. But we've done that, and I'm on the rotating the revolving dance floor is the best thing about it. When you got a bit of Britney going on or a bit of ABBA, and you still on that, it's like, what is going on?
It's like in the music video.
It's
definitely. It's like fucking
it really is.
It's like a VTAS video. Like but yeah, we'd I'd be on that. I'd get like 40, 50-year-old women go to me and like, can I buy a drink? I'm like, yeah.
Of course you can.
Yeah, and then a couple of times like, did then go get the husbands to go buy. I'm like, are you hitting on me, or are you like just think my hair's nice? 90% of them's like, I just think your hair's really nice. I'm like,
I think it's a free drink.
Get some free drink. Yeah.
Hustle's
But
hustle.
Yeah, respect the hustle, innit?
Yeah, literally.
No, I bet you gotta make your beard and hair. I can't grow a beard, so.
To be fair, I don't get bought drinks very often, so maybe I'm doing something wrong.
Well, I do, cause everyone did the lockdown beard. Like, I think that's fact.
Standard, yeah, innit?
I did it for 3 weeks. It was horrible, so I shaved it off. And then when I moved here, I've not shaved since I moved here, so I've not shaved for 6 weeks. And it's okay. But that side matches up with a tash. That one doesn't. So I'm stood there saying I'll persevere because I can slowly see it start to go up. But I'm not.
Perseverance is key.
It's a gap there, gap in that bit, no gap in that bit. I was like, this looks fucking horrible. So,
but yeah.
I was debating before we did this. I was like, do you know what? I might just clean shave just before I could be
Yeah, no.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah,
thank you to the rest of the Pariah.
I
don't want my camera to like die, but yeah, thank you so much, and we look forward to obviously seeing you guys when you're back on the road. I'm sure we'll see you guys at some point.
Yeah.
Well, I'll definitely give you guys a message, but he's more than a pleasure being on this. We've massively enjoyed it. Like,
yeah, so we have as well. Really have, yeah. It's been a fun conversation.
Anytime we have a conversation anyway, which is usually me and Brandon have a few conversations anyway in life.
Yeah. See you in Key Club, see you in like gigs and stuff. So I'm sure I'll see you around, and check out Pariah.
Yeah, check out Pariah.
Yeah. I'll definitely hit you guys up. Big up these guys. Subscribe.
Thank you.
Say in the comment section how much you hate us, but love these guys.
No, thank you so much.
Cheers, man.
Take care. See you in a bit. See you later, mate.
Bye.
Your best bet with the looks of